This is a really fun holiday tradition here at Snowbird. It's a great family event. It's a really different and unique way to celebrate New Year's. Not necessarily fighting the crowds at restaurants in the valley, but you get to be outside.
That was Brian Brown, the communications manager in 2019, talking about the torch run that has become a tradition at Snowbird every New Year's Eve. The event has been canceled this year due to the pandemic. Welcome to our In Focus discussion tonight, celebrating New Year's Eve during the pandemic. New Year's Eve is a night of celebration, a night where people reflect on the previous year and make resolutions for the upcoming year. But this New Year's Eve means something different to every one of us. So how will we celebrate, and how will our traditions change to maintain safety during the COVID-19 pandemic? Joining us now via Zoom is Sherman, communications manager for Snowbird Ski Resort, to talk about their plans. Sarah, thank you so much for being here tonight, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Sarah, let's talk about the history of the torch run at Snowbird. Tell us how long it's been going on, and is this the first time that it's been canceled?
You know, the Torchlight Parade and Fireworks Show is a long-standing tradition here at Snowbird. It's something that our employees, our longtime guests really love to do, and a lot of them do it annually. This event's happening, it's been happening for over 45 years, since the mid-70s. And it's only been canceled a few times. I believe it's been canceled once in the mid-70s due to, in the mid-80s due to weather and avalanches. So this is one of the very, very few times we've ever had to cancel it. And we didn't do it lighthearted. It's something we're sad to not be able to do this year, but after a lot of consideration, it seemed like the right thing to be doing this season.
It really shows that this was a serious decision. Okay, so Snowbird decides to cancel the torch run this year. You touched on this briefly, but I want to know a little bit more about why. Like, what's the reasoning behind it? How is this event different from a regular ski day?
That's a great question. You know, at Snowbird, the number one focus for us always is the health and safety of our guests, our employees, and our community. And as much as we love the Torchlight Parade and the fireworks show, we really took a moment this season to think, is this an event that we can hold safely and feel comfortable doing? And, you know, on a normal ski day, we have 2,500 acres of open space for guests to ski and ride on. They can spread out, they're in the open air. But when we thought about the Torchlight Parade, you know, it's at nighttime, it's a lot colder, people want to bundle up and be near each other, and it's not something that we felt like we could safely ask people to separate and maintain that distance that's needed to operate this event. Even though it is outside, it's cold, it's at night, it's in the base area and not spread out on the mountain. So it's a little bit different than that average day.
And I think that reasoning is understandable for everybody who wants to stay safe during the pandemic. Just curious though, during the decision-making process, did Snowbird think about alternatives to the run, like maybe having employees do the event for spectators, or possibly even live streaming it or something of that nature?
We really did. Again, this isn't an event we were excited to cancel. We have so many people who really cherish it every single year. But again, after thinking through the logistics of it, you know, we have so many guests who are there into the evening, who come for the day, who are staying at our lodging properties, and still managing those people and preventing them from crowding to even view it seemed like something that we weren't sure we would be able to safely deliver upon. So we made the hard call there. It's sad, but it makes us even more excited to bring it back as soon as possible, because it's an event that we're already looking forward to in the future.
Right. You kind of cherish something a little bit more when it's gone, right?
Exactly.
We're asking all of our guests this question. How is Snowbird celebrating New Year's Eve in a pandemic, and how will you guys be saying goodbye to 2020?
You know, we're going to do it doing what we do best, with skiing and snowboarding on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We've had 125 inches of snow so far this season. We're looking forward to more in the forecast. So much of the mountain is open, so we're going to be up there sending out 2020 with skiing and riding, and going to 2021 with more. We can't wait.
It's always a celebration with POW. Okay, my last question for you. I'm really curious, what are your anticipations or expectations for the future? Wondering if this pandemic has helped you and your staff sort of figure out that you are capable of creative alternatives, in case this type of situation comes up again. I know that a lot of ski resorts have had to scale back, on the normal amount of tickets that you sell and whatnot. So what lies ahead for 2021? What are you guys going to be looking for?
I think the lesson of this season has been to stay adaptable, to go with the flow, to stay positive and do what we can. From implementing a parking reservation system to make sure that our capacity is at a comfortable limit, to changing our food and beverage to grab and go, to increased, physical distancing and face masks. It's all about staying fluid, changing what we need to, staying positive, and remembering that as long as we're able to ski and ride or be with people, love, even if it's Zoom, we're still doing it. So it's all good.
Awesome. You've been hearing from Sarah Sherman, Communications Manager for Snowbird Ski Resort. Sarah, thank you so much for being here tonight, and we're wishing you a Happy New Year's.
Thank you. Happy New Year's.
Every bar owner right now is fearing closure based on financial ruin. Over the last, I would say 90 days, a multitude of bars have closed. I know of 2 bars that will probably close next week, just based on financial incapability to stay open and keep their staff employed. And there's the tail end of it all is there will be more people in the unemployment line trying to sustain money to feed their children in their home.
That was Micheal Repp, owner of the Trapp, earlier this month, talking about the statewide mandate that forced bars to stop selling alcoholic drinks after 10 p.m. Now that mandate has since been lifted. Thanks for staying with us for our second In Focus discussion tonight, celebrating New Year's Eve during the pandemic. One of the businesses impacted severely by the pandemic are Utah's local bars, so they are looking hard at what they can and should do during this holiday. Joining us now is Micheal Repp, owner of the Trapp Bar in Salt Lake City, to talk about how he's looking at New Year's Eve. Micheal, thanks so much for being here tonight. I'm glad it's under better circumstances, and welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having us again.
Micheal, how important is New Year's Eve in the bar industry when it comes to revenue, especially when there isn't a pandemic?
So right after Pride, New Year's would be our second largest night for revenue and community gathering in the bar industry for us in particular. It's a vital night for the LGBTQIA plus community to have a safe haven place to be. So it's vital for us to be able to celebrate this night with our community, even under restrictive capacity. It's extremely important, and I know that it's extremely important for other bars as well.
Now help us frame this holiday, New Year's Eve, in the context of what bars have been dealing with for the past few months. The last time we had you on the show, it was when you guys were still fighting, right? This
Correct.
Statewide mandate. Ever since then, it's been lifted. First of all, can you give us an update on how that's been? And then let's talk about what this means.
Since they lifted the mandate, of course, we've seen an increase in revenue. We've seen an increase in capacity coming back out to the bars. I can only speak solely for us. The return of our patrons is an emotional thing because we have that established connection with the majority of our patrons that come out, and the increase back to being able to financially support our staff and their homes and their children, and at least give them the hours to continue to make money to pay their bills, is also emotional, just based on the fact that for 6 weeks, we didn't know what was coming. We were out of touch. The governor wouldn't respond. He wouldn't communicate with anybody who was part of the initial call for action letter and then ultimately the lawsuit. So we were left hanging until that Thursday when he left the mandate. We had no idea what was actually going to come to play that day. So it's an emotional moment to be able to actually conduct your standard of business and to know that your staff may not be bringing large funds in, but that they're actually able to go to the grocery store, pay their car insurance, pay their rent. It's an emotional component.
Hey, at least the outlook for 2021 looks better. Gives us
Absolutely.
something to look forward to. So during the commercial break, you and I were talking that your revenue tripled ever
Correct.
since the mandate was lifted. Let's talk about the projection then for Thursday night. Do you guys expect that the money will come in good, that it may be, again, maybe the second best night of the year for you?
So I'm hoping this is, and I know that Riley and our business partner are also hoping that this night will be, of course, one, it will be safe, two, it will be profitable, three, it will come with success both for our staff and our patrons alike. We can project and target pretty much what our financial number will be as we run at a consistent restrictive capacity. We don't budge that number at all. So we know kind of where we're going to be standing, and right now that number is doable for us based on the fact that we will be supplying that safe place to be. We will have that structure. We will have the formulation in place. We're bringing in extra staff that night in order to ensure safety and compliance with all of the state-given mandates and then our own stringent guidelines within the bar. So it's going to be a good night. It has to be a good night. It's New Year's. We all want to say goodbye to 2020 some way, somehow, and we're blessed to have these people here doing it with us, and the fact that they trust us to supply them with a safe place is more of a reward for us as a bar than the financial reward at the end of the day.
All right, we have time for about one question left. And when you were talking about safety, let's dive a little bit into the safety measures. I think some people are wondering, you know, as they're making their plans for New Year's Eve, is there going to be a cap on how many people can come into the Sun Trapp that night? Do they need to make reservations, buy tickets ahead of time? Should they, you know, plan to bring their mask and something that's going to be comfortable to wear all night? What is it going to look like, your safety precautions?
All of the above. We're implementing a masquerade kind of decoration for your mask party. Rather than dressing to the nines in an outfit, we're just asking that you decorate your mask. You find a mask that's going to be amazing because you're going to be required to wear it throughout the whole night while you're in the interior of the bar. Temperature checks are mandatory at the door. Community contact tracing is mandatory at the door. You'll be taken to a seat by a host. You'll have a cocktailer. We will have limited well service at the bar, and there will be no congregations at the bar. We have sitters that will be present at each entryway to each portion of the bar that will be reminding you to stay within your area of your table. If you're standing at your table, we're going to ask that you also have your mask on. If you're seated, you're more than welcome to have it off. It'll be a zero tolerance night where you might get one warning, and that's probably as far as we're going to go, and then you'll be escorted out of the bar. Unfortunately, it's just that. New Year's is a definite party night. However, we're going to continue to maintain our reduced capacity. We're going to maintain the safety that we've offered the community at this point, and we're going to forge forward in hopes that every other bar in town will do the same and not regress back to some of the things that were happening. It's vital that we remain as a united front in keeping the community safe as bar owners and bar management, and really keep the community at large safe.
A lot of planning and preparation.
Absolutely.
All right, you've been hearing from Micheal Repp, owner of the Sun Trapp. Micheal, thank you so much for stopping by again. We are wishing you and your staff a happy New Year's.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're looking at some video from 2018, the second year the last hurrah was held at the Gateway. It's one of the major public New Year's Eve celebrations in Salt Lake City, and it too has been scaled back because of the pandemic. Welcome back to our final In Focus discussion tonight on celebrating New Year's Eve during the pandemic. Large crowds define New Year's Eve celebrations, so how is one of the biggest events in the state adapting to the pandemic? Joining us live now via Zoom is Jacklyn Briggs, marketing director for the Gateway. They are the venue hosting the last hurrah event. Jacklyn, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Let's start the conversation out about the last hurrah event itself at the Gateway. How long has it been going on? What events typically happen? And what does it look like?
Sure. Well, we've been celebrating in the capital city New Year's Eve for years under different names, but the last hurrah has been hosted at the Gateway. This will be the 4th year. And normally we do a big celebration starting at 9 p.m. We close down the whole street, Rio Grande. We have food trucks and different pop-up lounges. And then we do the firework countdown and fireworks show at midnight.
Now, I've been there, and how I would describe it is probably a big night festival. There's a lot to do,
Yes.
food trucks, activities, like visual displays. It's just a really good time. Now, with the pandemic, obviously this year it's uprooted everything and kind of caused us to rethink things. Can you tell us what the discussions were like about this event as you were planning it and seeing that the pandemic was still in full force? And at any point in time, did you consider canceling the event?
We did. I mean, we considered a lot of things when we were having the discussions with our partners, the Downtown Alliance, on, what really made sense this year. And not only that, but what did the community need, during this really hard year for so many people? What could we do to still celebrate together and have a shared experience? But, we took the responsibility of being able to hold that safely very, very seriously. So we talked through several scenarios on what we felt that we could pull off safely, which is how we kind of came to our hybrid event that we have planned for this year.
Okay, so hybrid event, it's scaled down. What is that going to look like? Does this mean less people would be admitted to the event? Do people have to make reservations, buy tickets ahead of time? Tell us what that looks like.
Sure, it's actually a little of all of that. So we have two different ways to celebrate with us for the last hurrah. One of the ways is we do have a small in-person viewing area for the fireworks. Now, we are not going to be doing food trucks and serving beverages this year. What it will look like is you would make an online reservation for your viewing spot, and you can check in starting at 10:30. And then the live show will start at 11 o'clock. We'll have a band and then the firework countdown at midnight. Now, those in-person reservations are limited based on space on the outdoor venue, and we've made sure that we can social distance everybody within their own household groups. So to make a reservation, you would just go to atthegateway.com. And if it is sold out, we are holding a waiting list, and all proceeds for that portion of the event will go to the Utah Food Bank. And then if you're not able to get in-person events, or you just feel like it might be safer for you, you can celebrate in the comfort of your own home. We will be live streaming the entire live performance starting at 11, and we will also be streaming the fireworks and the countdown, so that people that are at home don't feel isolated, that they feel like there's a way to celebrate with their community. They can see the Salt Lake City skyline and the fireworks and just say one last hurrah to 2020, which I think we all are very, very ready to do.
Talk about a time and era, right, where we've really had to adapt with technology, but at the same time, really blessed to have technology there to provide us alternatives. I want to get into the safety measures a little bit more. You talked a lot about how you guys are scaling back the number of people that are going in. Will there be maybe more staff there to ensure social distancing and masks, temperature checks? Tell us about the safety precautions and how you guys had to maybe bring in the support and resources for that.
Sure. So the in-person portion of it, the area will be roped off so that only ticket holders are allowed, and they will need to check in their area. Now, when you reserve a spot online, that spot comes with up to 1 to 6 people, and they need to be from your same household. So you will check in with your group, and then you will be going showed to your position, your viewing area, either on the plaza, on the balcony, kind of wherever you've reserved it. And from there, the next group will be 12 feet away. So we will have markers set out so that everybody kind of knows where the viewing area that they're supposed to be in is. We also are requiring masks during the entire event. Of course, it is outside, but we will require that patrons wear their masks during the event. And we will have security just making sure that people are, if they have any questions about where their area is, and just to make sure we're kind of abiding by that distancing rule. And then, of course, you can always stream it online from the safety of your home. And that's a really fun way to not be alone on New Year's Eve and to celebrate with your community and really feel confident that you're safely doing it.
All right, Jacklyn, I want to sneak in one final question, just because we're running out of time. Just want to know, how are you going to be saying goodbye to 2020?
I will be down at the Gateway. We have several merchants that will be open late, like Dave & Buster's and Hall Pass. And so even if you didn't get in-person tickets, you can always go to one of those merchants that are open. And I'm going to be outside, and I'm going to be saying one last hurrah to 2020. All
right, you've been hearing from Jacklyn Briggs, Marketing Director for the Gateway. Jacklyn, we really appreciate you joining us tonight, welcoming you to the show. And from all of us, we're wishing you a Happy New Year's.
Thank you. You too.